Hi everyone, welcome back to Cogent English. In this video, I'm going to discuss the third poetry from HSA syllabus, On His Blindness, written by John Milton. So in this video, I'm going to explain the poem in detail and I'm going to give you some MCQs, multiple choice questions that we can expect for our upcoming examination. So let's get started.
On His Blindness, Sonnet 16 by John Milton. It is written in the year 1655. John Milton, he born on December 9, 1608 at Spread Eagle in Bread Street, London. An English poet, a scholarly man of letters, and a civil servant for the Commonwealth of England under Oliver Cromwell. Milton's poetry and prose reflect deep personal convictions, a passion for freedom and self-determination, and the urgent issues and political turbulence of his day. His best works include Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained, and were written after he became blind. He is remembered as the greatest English writer of 17th century. His eyesight began to fail in 1644. By 1651, he was totally blind, and he died of kidney failure on November 8, 1674. Without pain or emotion, according to testimony at the time, no one in the room noticed his passing. So, here we are going to learn the poem On His Blindness. On His Blindness is a Petrarchian sonnet. A sonnet contains 14 lines, and it is popularized by the Petrarchian sonnet, popularized by Italian priest Petrarch, and rhyming scheme of AB, BA, AB, BA, CDE, and CDE. Sonnet, an Italian word, sonetto, meaning little song. And the poem, it has a meter, as you know, iambic pentameter. A line has 5 pairs of unstressed and stressed syllables for a total of 10 syllables. The first 8 line is known as octave. And the octave presents a theme, okay, and forms the preposition which describes a problem or a question. And the rhyme scheme is AB, BA, AB, BA. And the last 6 lines that called as sestet. Okay, a sonnet has 2 parts. One is octave, and another one is sestet. So octave deals the problem, all right, and sestet, the last 6 lines, they develops the theme and proposes the resolution or the solution for it. And the rhyme scheme is CDE, CDE, or CDC, CDC. Here is the poem On His Blindness. In the poem in detail, line by line explanation. When I consider how my light is spent. Light, this word clearly alludes to the speaker's loss of sight. When I consider how my light is spent, that means the vision. The poet thinks of how his light is used up or wasted. Okay. half my days in this dark world and wide. The second line, the speaker in this poem feels vulnerable rather than be blind. When elderly, he has become blind in the middle age. He now inhabits a world that seems dark in at least two senses. Number one, it is no longer physically visible and it is a world full of sin and spiritual darkness. The world, moreover, is not only dark but also wide. Milton will somehow have to navigate both literally and figuratively in a world which will pose many dangers. And that one talent, which is death to hide, lodge with me useless. Here, talent means the gift of writing. Lodged, stuck, locked, alluding the famous passage in the Bible, parable of talents, to the punishment for one talent that is buried and not utilized may lead to an analysis suggesting Milton fears his own spiritual punishment or spiritual death for the uselessness of his blindness. Though my soul more bent to serve there with my Maker and present. Maker here refers the reference to the God. Milton is saying that now that he is blind, his desire to serve God is increased. My true account, lest his returning child. Your true account means his good work. Child criticized. He wishes to give a good account of himself and his service to God. Refers to the second coming of Jesus, and he is worried that God will criticize him for not using his talent. Thus, God exact day labor, light denied, can be paraphrased as, does God demand that which cannot be given? Milton asked if God just wants lesser tasks since his blindness denies him from using his talents. I fondly ask, but patience to prevent patience is not a personal trait of the poet, rather God's Holy Spirit personifies it and having it answer Milton's question. That murmur soon replies, murmur, complain. Patience speaks and explains the nature of God. God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts. God is sufficient unto himself. He requires nothing outside of himself to exist and be happy. Who best bear his mild yoke? They serve him the best. Yoke, biblical word for God's will. The people who are most respectful to God's will are the ones who serve God best. Those who endure their misfortune without complaining. His state is kingly. Thousands at his bidding speed and pass over land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. So these lines mean that the whole world are servants to God. There is more than one way to serve God. And patience is telling the poet that even his waiting caused by his blindness can be a kind of service to God. So here the octave, he shows revolt and is frustrated with his blindness. I told you the problem in the octave, the first 8 lines, and the last 6 line that is called as tested. Here acceptance and resignation to God's will. So let us go through the summary. In this sonnet, the speaker meditates on the fact that he has become blind. Milton himself was blind when he wrote this. He expresses his frustration and at being prevented by his disability from serving God, as well as he desires to. He is answered by Patience, who tells him that God has many who hurry to do his bidding and does not really need a man's work. Rather, what is valued is the ability to bear God's mild yoke, to tolerate whatever God asks faithfully and without complaint. As the famous last line sum it up, they also serve who only stand and wait. The examples of figure of speech here in the poem, alliteration. My days in this dark world and wide. You can see the repetition of the word, the sound, the days in the dark, world and wide, example of alliteration. Metaphor. Though my soul more bent to serve there with my Maker. The author compares his soul to his mind. Personification. Metaphor. But Patience, to prevent that murmur soon replies. And another figure of speech here, paradox. They also serve who only stand and wait, the paradox.